it's Jay Abraham, and I want very much to share with you some different ideas, I suspect, than what everyone else is contributing on this video. I don't think adding the traditional recommendations, either strategic or tactical, is what I can do most valuable. I think I can give you a mindset of nonlinear strategic thinking and ethical opportunity-based perspective that will help, no matter what business you have, navigate and not necessarily circumvent, but position yourself to be a victor and not a victim when this all ends, and also see and seize opportunities that are available right now that probably will not be available when this ends, and opportunities that if you capitalize on will actually allow you to help other people who are more impaired and against the ropes than you are. So first thing you have to do is fortify, solidify, bond your base to your buyers, and make sure that they know, number one, that you have leadership commitment to them to figure out what to do. You're going to be there in whatever ways are appropriate for whatever kind of product, service, proposition your business sells. Make sure that they understand and you understand that you have certainty, not necessarily certainty about exactly what's going to happen. You can't, but certainty that you will strive to identify, to source, to distill, to examine, evaluate, and refine the best reasoned strategic recommendations relative to whatever it is your relationship is with them. First thing. Second thing is look at what other products, services people buy before, during, after, at the same time, or even instead of yours. And start looking at who provides those and thinking about collaborating with those people to, one, take your product to their market, to your market, take your product service to their market. I made a point to people that I talked to in an earlier interview today that there will never be a window of opportunity wider open, deeper, more receptive than today for doing collaborations, strategic alliances, joint ventures, partnering, co-branding, referrals, endorsements. And I don't have time today to explain it, but if Tony wants, I can get into a whole segment on it at a later date. It's up to him. So first thing you want to do is figure out who's got what your people are buying before, during, after, if they're buying right now. Even competitive, because a lot of people buy other products or services besides yours. The analogy I make is if you were selling a supplement for weight loss, you would say your competitors are other weight loss supplement companies, but that's not true. It would be that, certainly, but it would be people who sell portion control food, personal trainers, gyms, well, not now, equipment, video, recipes, all kinds of things. So if you know that people are going to buy other things, people that stopped buying, people that didn't buy, people that are buying, if you know they're going to do that, and there are many situations where that's true, you want to basically acquire access to that and make it available to your market. The next thing, and it's very important, is look for weaker companies in what you do, or weaker companies in any of those areas we just talked about before, during, after, the same time, instead, and approach them to acquire not the business. You don't want the liability. You want the buyers, the assets, the brand, phone number, email, address, URL, and give them a share of the revenue resulting from that. A lot of companies are going to go broke. They don't have capital reserves. They're going to lose everything. And before they lose everything, if you take over the most viable assets and can monetize them, and they can get revenue for a sustained period from that, you're doing a noble service to them while growing your business dramatically. We've got a bunch of people, dentists particularly, a lot of dentists who, some of you will be dentists, they aren't as strong capital-wise, and many of them are going to go out of business because they got such fixed expense. Before they do, I have a dentist that I help who has 12 offices. He's going to every qualitative, weaker dentist offering to take over their patients, consolidate them, pay them a perpetual share, help them negotiate whatever needs to be negotiated to help them reduce, eliminate, extricate themselves from liabilities. And my dentist is going to be very strong when this is all over, and the other dentists that might lose their practice and have to stand in line to try to get an associate job somewhere else or basically retire early are going to get income. So that's another thing. I want you to think about something else. There are many companies today who are furloughing, laying off, or outright terminating their salespeople, their key account people, their marketing people, their vice presidents of sales, their customer service, their delivery. All those people have relationships with companies or individuals that could be funneled over to you. These people, if they're out of work, are sitting around desperate for revenue. If you can contact them by finding them on LinkedIn and say, look, if you're still working, forget this. I don't want to be unethical, but if you've been abandoned and you have a great qualitative relationship with your clients and you're not prohibited by any kind of legal constraints, I am willing to collaborate with you to introduce them to us, provide you with knowledge and certainty that we are a valuable, if not a superior choice, show you how we will work very advantageous financially with those clients in the beginning to help them through this, and pay you a share forever of what comes from it. That would be great for everybody. I said strategic alliances will be greater right now. There's ways to do it, and it takes some nuances, but there's a couple of things you have to do today to really maximize it. It's a two-way valve. You can bring all kinds of other products or services into your audience, and your distribution, your communication, your website, your offerings, your product or services. Number two, you can take yours outside. In order to make it really, really work for both sides, you have to understand allowable cost, lifetime value. If you have a product or service that has a very high margin, very high residual, and you know predictably that when you get 10 people in, you're going to get 6 or 8 of them buying over and over again, and the profit per transaction and the frequency of transaction is extraordinary, you can go to other companies, other media, other influencers, other organizations, and offer them the chance to offer your products to them, to their people, and give them a very significant front-end load that gets them excited about doing it with you. Conversely, if you want to take theirs to you, you can do the opposite. You can teach them why it's to their advantage to give you a front-end load that's very heavy and then a residual or nothing on the back end, subsequent sales for getting those buyers from you. Next thing is, I've told everybody in business that there's a finite set of probability and outcome scenarios. I have no idea exactly what will happen, but there's going to be, I have a friend I was talking about earlier. He does very complex simulations for companies that have to deal with their supply chain and their demand chain. And he's got 4 gradients he looks at. One is best case, one is worst case, one is best worst, the other is worst best. If you start thinking about probability and outcome, and you adapt not just critical thinking, but what I call consequential thinking, and again, I'll be happy to go deep on any of these, post this little snippet if Tony wants it of me, and I will, and if you do this, you'll be ready for any scenario. And what I tell everyone is, start moving forward in your preparedness so that you don't have to wait to see what happens. You've already got some momentum, and you can just shift over to the path that becomes the right one. Think victor versus victim. The next thing. This is a great time, as I said, to acquire things. And there's another thing you can do, which is I'm going to give you the ultimate option trading. Most people think of option trading is getting put calls, whatever it is, on stocks. I think you want to get puts or calls on products, services, capacity right now when it's distressed, and be able to flip it to other people and play arbitrage. Everything you do is a two-way valve. There are tons. I've done billions of dollars of strategic alliances, joint ventures, endorsements, all those things, and this is your opportunity to do it as well. And really, it's a great growth opportunity in adverse times. The next is to realize I was talking to a lot of people that have restaurant friends, not restaurants, or if you have a restaurant, if you really can't monetize your clients very well, if you have solid relationships, data, contacts, and they're highly repetitive, you have something else you're not thinking about. All of you do. The people you sell to, while they buy something very specific at whatever frequency and converging stimulated time from you, they are men and women, husbands, wives, fathers, mothers, lovers, significant others, parents, children, friends, and they're buying other things. If they trust you and they're buying lots of things right now that they wouldn't have bought before, they're not as good a discriminators. They're going to just buy online from whatever review. You're just as great of a guide for them, so you can make collaborations with other people with a broader scope of products or services. I can't tell you how much amazing human resources are probably on the market right now that don't have a clue how to monetize their skill. They think of themselves as a salesperson or a customer service or a marketing, and they're trying to get a job as that, whereas if they have relationships with media that they've negotiated great deals, and they can make that available to you, and it has the ability to make you money or save you money, you can give them variable compensation for making that possible. If they're a salesperson and they have past clients that now they've been thrown out of the company and they had a great relationship, if you can say, hey, I'll give you 10, 25, 50, 100% of the first sale and residual on the rest, they are going to be motivated, and you can find them all day long. The other flip is anybody who can sell, and there's going to be tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, I hope not, but maybe millions of people who can sell who are out of a job. They need something to sell. They need a way to monetize their skill. You can contact them. You can find them on LinkedIn or in the employment sites, the job sites, and you can put them to work building either strategic alliances, deals, acquisitions, new clients for you, and pay them very generously on results. You'll never have that window again. I can go on and on, but there's a few ideas. I can go on and on, but as I said, I think everyone else probably on this video is going to give you linear stuff. Cut your costs, be tactical, do this, do that. I could do that, but it would just be redundant, and I don't know that would have the value that this is. It's all about thinking differently, and if you go to my website, or I can give it to Tony, I've got countless resources. I'll give them to Tony, he can put them on his website, but I just got a lot of stuff. That's the best reason right now to get it into your hands. I messed up on my earlier video. This was done last minute to get to you. I'll be happy to do more if it's necessary, needed, or wanted. But just know this, I know Tony and his group are totally committed to your betterment, totally committed to leading you to the best possible outcomes, totally leading you to where the best opportunities are for maximizing whatever the situation brings you. And I hope you take advantage of what everyone is sharing. The one thing you can't do is freeze. You also can't necessarily spend your way out. You can't also necessarily save your way out. You have to be strategic. You have to be proactive. You have to see where opportunity lies in adversity, and it always does. Your problem is almost always going to be the solution to somebody else's bigger one. You just have to identify what it is, who it is, and make the connection, and hopefully this helps. Thank you.